Hello, this is a video about my recent UK tour, what went right, and what went wrong. Very wrong. Going on tour was like waiting in line for a roller coaster, and then it's over in a flash. 18 months spent recording the album, 1 year planning the tour and working on it regularly behind the scenes, 13 nights on the road, 8 gigs, 1,200 tickets, which amounts to, actually, a huge loss. I thought I did everything right, and yet it technically went wrong. Be sure to stick around to the end for the full breakdown and a big reveal. I promise it'll be worth it. First things first, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who attended a show or watched the tour vlogs online. I met multiple amazing people who travelled hundreds or even thousands of miles across the world to be there. But even if it was a local show for you, I want you to know that I so appreciate you putting on your coat and coming out and supporting live music. The cost of touring has been a big topic for musicians for many years now. Back in 2014, the band Pamplemousse sparked a lot of negative comments when they detailed their tour expenses, including, how dare they, hotel rooms. Adam Neely put out some fantastic tour vlogs about hitting the road in 2022 and facing the additional challenges that COVID added to the mix. And Orla Gartland was in the news recently, revealing that despite selling out her entire US tour, she stands to lose £40,000. It is very, very easy to get this wrong. If you're a musician thinking of going on tour, don't. I'm joking, kind of. Not really, but keep watching. My 2024 UK tour was a completely DIY operation. So I want to run through some of the costs involved. First of all, I needed a band to do the album justice. I was honoured to be joined on the road by Paul Romero, who produced the record and took on second guitar duties. David Duffy on bass and Chris Hardwick on drums were the finest rhythm section I could ask for. But these men have mouths to feed and rent to pay and must be compensated for their work, equaling £7,994. That's my first big expense. Musicians. That covers their personal practice time, learning the 14 songs in the set, 4 rehearsal days, then performing 8 shows with a total of 13 days on the road, spending 14 or more hours a day with me and my diva demands. You might think this figure is either too much or not enough. Considering we were pretty much non-stop day in, day out for 17 days, it's not exactly lavish. On top of the fee, I needed to arrange some dedicated rehearsal time. Hiring the space, meals for everybody, and accommodation came to an additional £570. Joining me in the band on the road were the promoter, my tour manager, and a videographer, because I needed additional help filming for the planned tour vlogs. The promoter and tour manager were sharing the driving and selling the merch. The promoter took a fee, but the other two are, well, they're already on my company payroll. Okay, so I have the band and I have a crew, but I need somewhere to play. I hired all 8 venues for the tour, which came to £6,874. That's not all up front, as some deducted the balance from any ticket sales they make from their box offices. But I needed to pay deposits and pay some additional freelancer fees, like the occasional lighting engineer. And lo and behold, a problem. It turned out that the venue in Bristol, St George's, being mostly a classical music venue, didn't have their own PA. I didn't know this until it was too late to change the venue, so I had no choice but to hire one for the evening. That's an additional £870. We also needed to be able to get from A to B. Not everyone is based in the UK, so I needed to book some flights to get everyone in one place, plus several seats for the Mr. Musical Instruments. That's £1,838. Once in the UK, with 7 of us plus gear, we needed a van. That's £1,950 for 2 weeks, plus £444 on fuel. I also spent £255 on a huge hire car for a few days to pick up an amp, the merch, a drum kit, and a drummer. Okay, transport sorted, but we also needed somewhere to stay for the night, because would you want to sleep upright in a van for 2 weeks straight?
Sleep in the van.
Well, we're driving down the highway in the bandit getting sleepy. The bass is acting moody and the drummer's acting cheeky. We've got many miles to go, but we'll do all the miles we can. 'Cause tonight, my friends, we'll all be sleeping in the van. Sleep, sleep, sleep in the van. If you don't wanna go bankrupt, it's the only way you can make the numbers work. Making music is a calling, but a comfy bed's a perk. Get a good night's rest. And I'm sure to play tomorrow, and I'm sure to play the next. Neck, what's your neck? Sleeping upright is the price you pay to earn that paycheck.
Honestly, paying for accommodation seems to be the thing that infuriates people the most about the cost of touring.
The refrain online seemed to be, just sleep in the van. Just sleep in the van and stop bitching. You sleep in van/tour vehicle. Sleep in the van. Sleep in the van. You should have slept in the van. Sleep in the van.
Sleep in the van.
I applaud those who sleep in the van for weeks or months, but I'm in my 30s. I need a bed, a shower, and a hairdryer. We stayed in budget travel lodges every night, 2 to a room on the outskirts of town to save money, and kept it as cheap as possible. But I have no regrets in spending £3,625 on hotels for 2 weeks. All right, it's getting really scary now, and with 1 month to go, ticket sales were only 45% sold, so I needed some additional marketing and PR. I spent £800 on Facebook advertising, £600 on a regional PR firm to help with press, $230 on printing flyers and posters, and $570 on 10 outdoor posters for the Bristol gig, because with the biggest capacity of the tour, that show needed all the help it could get. So in total, that's £2,200 on marketing. Okay, we've got transport and a place to stay, but people also need to eat. I gave everyone a £30 per diem, that's £350 a person, or £2,100 in total. The UK is not a cheap place to exist at the moment, especially when you're mostly eating at service stations on the road. If you want to eat some fruit or vegetables, that doesn't go very far. So I also bought us breakfast a couple of times, and then there's the rider for the shows, which was very basic, a couple of bags of crisps, waters, bananas and beers. In fact, the only time the band came close to conflict was over who kept eating all the f***ing crisps. Who? Me? At just shy of £30,000, we almost have everything we need. I splashed out on a custom super sexy drum skin, that's £130, and an insurance package, public liability, equipment and cancellation and illness, that's £1,274 for just peace of mind, because accidents happen. And accidents did indeed happen, as during the London show, my Heartbreaker guitar was broken. The venue's insurance should cover it, but that'll take time to come through. And so in the meantime, that's £40 for a replacement hire and £53 to ship the broken guitar off to France for repair. At this point, I'm starting to feel a little sick about how much everything is costing, especially since ticket sales were moving very slowly, about 1% a day, no matter how much I pushed. Overall, I sold 63% of available tickets across the tour. That's just over 1,200 tickets, with gross ticket sales coming in at £25,225. Unfortunately, a big problem was caused by taxes not being added to the individual ticket prices when they were listed, meaning I became responsible for that value added 20%, meaning a fifth of the ticket income disappeared in an instant. My business being VAT registered, but the promoter not being, and the costs being divided up between us complicates things greatly. I'll eventually be able to claim back VAT on the invoices I paid for directly, but not the others, so the final ticket income was greatly reduced. This is a mistake I will not make again. The final expenses, including the promoter fee, came to £32,226. I did sell a good amount of merchandise on the tour, which came to just over £5,000 income, spread over 8 shows. That's about £700 a night. But I did also spend almost the exact amount buying stock of t-shirts and vinyl records to take on the road. So it sort of cancels out for now. However, I do have stock left over. If you like what you see, head over to my store, link in the description below. That cost could also be seen, obviously, as an investment. So there we go, £12,000, a substantial loss. What happened? I consider myself pretty business savvy. I wrote budgets, I tracked every expense, income projection. I did everything right, and yet I still lost money. This tour was by no means lavish, but the expenses spiraled. They just kept coming. If I could do it all again, I'd combine the tour manager and promoter into one role for sure, and I'd hire some different venues. Bristol and Glasgow were absolutely beautiful, but I just didn't fill them enough to cover the costs, let alone make a profit. I really wanted to play St. George's because I had a personal connection to it, and while it was a really special show, it just didn't quite pan out financially. And maybe I'll have to stick to playing solo in the future, because as wonderful as playing with these amazing musicians was, it's just so expensive to have so many people on the road. Adding a few more pounds to the ticket prices, including the taxes, would have made a big difference. That was probably the biggest mistake that was made. Getting the word out there was definitely harder than I expected to, even with the reach of my YouTube channel and newsletter and talking about the tour pretty consistently. For the best part of a year, I still saw comments on the tour vlogs saying they had no idea that I was playing in their city. Touring is a business. Every single business owner and entrepreneur will tell you that they've learned hard lessons and failed sometimes. You get knocked down, and if you're resilient enough, you get back up and you learn from your mistakes. This video barely scratches the surface, so I've compiled absolutely everything into a new online course, The Independent Musician's Guide to Touring. I know, another course, another sales pitch, but give me just 20 seconds. Plotting my tour took 1 whole year, and that was a lot of trial and error and learning on the go. Some things you really can only learn by doing, but for 95% of what I learned, I can show you exactly where I went right and where I went very wrong. If you're just starting out, you might think you can't afford to tour, that no one will come, that it's too risky, and that no one will care. All of these can be overcome if you know how. We'll take deep dives into hiring venues, negotiating contracts, routing, budgeting and financial planning, the elements of performance, taxes, marketing, merchandise, and more. Every single thing you need to do, you can do yourself. But to speed things up, I've included all my sample budgets, press release templates, and example costs to make your live show easier. So, if you enroll, you will not only save yourself hundreds of hours of research and potentially thousands of dollars or pounds, you will have a rock-solid actionable plan to plot your own cost-effective, profitable DIY tour. Honestly, if I'd taken this course before hitting the road, things might have turned out very differently. The course is $50. That's substantially less than other courses on the market. And the first 1,000 people to sign up get 50% off. So check it out in the link below. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks as ever to my Patreon supporters and everyone who came to a show, bought some merch and watched the tour vlogs. You are truly appreciated, and I will be seeing you again very soon.